videos in one day. I'm on a roll. So seriously, I wanted to thank you all for watching my videos so far and for responding. I've had several people reach out and say, "Girl, I learned that exact same lesson," or "I learned it the hard way too." We're just gonna have to learn it the hard way on our own. And that got me thinking, why do we do that to ourselves? Why do we just think that we can just push through this and it doesn't matter what we're told we are supposed to be doing to be able to breathe, or, those things that we still want to be able to do, we're going to do them because by golly, we can. And then you learn, maybe not. Maybe I do need to nebulize and use my Valera every day. 2 to however many times it takes, except with the Valera, it's 3 times a day was my limit, but everything else, go for it until you get some relief. But I think there's a multifactorial issue why we decide to just throw everything out the window and do it ourselves and learn the hard way, especially where TBM is concerned. And I think the first part is that with TBM, we learn to become fighters. If we weren't already a fighter, you're going to learn it. Or someone around you is going to learn, because we have to fight for everything. We have to fight for some days, for the simplest act of taking one breath. Just one breath. And sometimes that's all you're praying for. Just let me take that one more breath, God. And then you get it and you're like, okay, let me take another one. There are days like that. And then we have to fight with our doctors. Then we have to fight with the ER doctors. We have to fight with insurance. Sometimes we fight with our family. Not like fight, but sometimes they don't get it and they don't understand it. So then that becomes another fight we have to have. It's a disease that robs us. It steals bits and pieces of our lives that we can never go back to. But yet we sometimes think we can, and we sometimes want to desperately. So sometimes we just try to turn the clock back. And sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't. And you end up back in the ER like I did. But that is a lesson learned. And I will continue with my treatments from now on, come hell or high water. The other component with this disease and fighting it and learning lessons the hard way is that with each new phase of this disease, we lose a little bit more of ourselves, a little bit more of our lives, a little bit more of our ability to do even some of the most basic of skills. I used to be able to vacuum my whole house. No problem. Get it done. Ready to move on and do something else. Now I struggle to get through one room. I've gone from, now I have a stick vacuum and a little robot thing, and that helps a lot, but it's still something I can't manage to do on my own anymore. And changing the sheets, oh, good Lord. Anyone with a respiratory issue will tell you changing the sheets is a half a day project now. It is, for whatever reason, it is extremely hard on the respiratory system. Whew. And that always comes up whenever I'm talking about what's the biggest challenge that you have now, and it's hands down changing the sheets. So ask for help when you're changing more, or give yourself all day if you need to. as it is a hard chore. But with each phase of this disease, again, we lose something of ourselves, of our former life. And even though, especially after the initial diagnosis, if it's significant enough, you've already lost a lot of who you were and a lot of your capabilities and a lot of those things that you used to be able to do easily or that you love to do and no longer can. Sorry, my voice is raspy. Sorry. And then, so you learn to accept those limitations or live within those limitations. And sometimes you get a long time in that space. Sometimes we don't. And we don't ever know. There's no dedicated laid out timeline of, well, the average person may have 5 good years after their initial surgery if they choose to have the surgery. Or some people don't get 6 months. So with each new phase of this disease, and it is a progressive degenerative disease, I want to make that clear. It is degenerative and it is progressive. There is no cure. There's no real fix. There's Band-Aids. There's great big Band-Aids if you choose to have a surgery. And again, that's each of us. It's such a personal issue, and you have to figure that out for yourself. No one can tell you, oh, absolutely, you must have it. If there are things you want to try, different treatments you want to try before taking the leap into getting the trachobronchoplasty, then do so. But just know that this disease is progressive, and over time, and hopefully you get long lengths of spans in between your next phase and the next phase. But with each new progression of this disease, you're going to lose something of yourself. You're going to lose some of your abilities to do some of the things you can ordinarily do, no problem. No, now it's going to be a problem. And we have to wrestle with that. We have to find a way to live with it, accept it, and yes, grieve it. And I think that we don't talk about the grief aspect as much as we should. And we probably don't allow ourselves to grieve our past life, or even just even our life 5 days ago once we've turned that corner and have a new collapse, or more collapse, or deeper collapse, or whatever it is with your phase of TBM. But you have to grieve. You have to let yourself let go of, okay, so I can no longer do this, but maybe I can do this instead. I can no longer vacuum my entire house, so I'll buy a robot vacuum, which most of us are like, yeah, let's do that anyway. But as far as being capable of doing it, you have to accept what you can and cannot do. And yes, push the limits by all means. And most of us will. Most of us will go and live as much life as we can while we can, or until we can't. Just most days I was okay yesterday, today I'm not. You have to learn to live like that too, because you never know. So I think that having to learn lessons the hard way for each of us who responded that they do, or they learned the lesson I just learned the hard way, is because there's that part of us that don't want to give up. There's that part of us that's like, okay, so you've taken this away, but you've added 3 more things I have to do to just breathe, or just have any sort of a quality of life. So you're taking away my ability to do X, Y, and Z, and you've added another ABC to what I need to do to breathe. So you go from nebulizing on occasion to nebulizing every day to nebulizing however many times a day it takes to, okay, now I got a vest. So now I nebulize and now I do my vest. Okay, now the vest is what you need. You need something better and stronger. So now you have a new toy called a Valera. And it's amazing, by the way. I think anyone in a more advanced stage of TBM should automatically get one. Hands down. But I think we'll get there because we were kind of like that at first with the vest. We had to fight for it. Tooth and nail. I think we will get there with the Valera because it is such a game changer for those of us who have it. Most of us would not go back to not having it. But, well, so that just, your responses just got me thinking, why do we do this? Why do we have to learn the hard way? Well, again, it's just having to go through the process of accepting once we find ourselves in each new successive stage of TBM. Accepting those limitations that come with that new phase. And feeling like I didn't have enough time in the old phase. I just got used to those limitations. And living within those parameters. Now you're telling me you're taking even more away? And I have to relearn again, what are my boundaries now? What can I do and can I not do? And be able to breathe the next day or later that afternoon or whatever it is. It's hard. It is. Not to say that we don't have good lives and we can't live good lives. They're just different. But with each successive phase of TBM, you have to learn those differences. And each one of us, as each one of us are different in our disease, we deal with it differently too. And we live with it differently. So what works for me may not work for you. And that's why I always try to say, this is what works for me. But this phase I'm in now is kind of turning into a doozy, and things are becoming more and more limited with what I can and can't do, and accepting that is hard. So I get it. I get you. I get why we learn things. We put ourselves through all of that to learn the hard way because we still want to fight. We still want to live. We still want to breathe. So, sorry. Just keep fighting. Don't give up. Don't think because you're in a new phase and harder phase, a much more difficult phase by all means, that you cannot find a way to live, that you cannot have a good quality of life. It'll just be different. And each phase will just be different. And let yourself feel all the feels of moving into your new phase and learning to live in that new phase. Because you can and you will. And eventually you'll have a good day again. You'll find you're happy again. And just you'll be that much more appreciative for every breath that you are blessed to take. So anyway, and yes, that's my dog back there. It's actually, she likes this end of the sofa. I don't know. I guess she wanted to be in the video today. But anyway, sorry for the tears. But just keep fighting. because life is worth it, and learning to live in each new phase. You can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. So anyway, have a wonderful day, and I will see you the next time.